Hello. How are you doing? My name is Keith. It's good to be back. Took a week off for the holidays here. Um, this channel is about learning meditation. Maybe you probably know that. Um, if you're new, we do uh, we do a lot of different kind of styles of meditation, and also look at a lot of different topics that are applicable to meditation. And the purpose of this is to try to find ways that we might be able to use meditation in our kind of modern daily life. So I like to approach this from a kind of like a practical standpoint. Linda, how are you doing? Um, so um, each week we do focus on a topic, and we have a nice discussion and do a meditation on that. But if you're sitting there being like, cool, but I don't know what meditation is, do not worry, because I always start each uh, session with a kind of introduction to meditation. What is it? How does it work? How do you do it? Should you bother? All right. These are all kind of the questions that we might be thinking about if we're new to meditation. And so we'll start like that, and we'll do a little short, very short meditation together to get everyone's kind of feet wet, so to speak. And then we'll talk about our topic, which is a really cool one this week. It's all about giving. And that's going to be kind of like a theme through the next couple of classes, timely for this time of year. Okay. So last thing I'll say is, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them whenever they come up. You can use the chat feature. You see some people already using it. That's the best way to kind of get your question to me. You don't need to wait for me to say it's question time. You can go ahead and just do it. And as soon as I see it, I'll answer it. I try to do my best to do so. If you do not feel comfortable using the chat feature, or you think of something after the class is over, I will be giving out my email to everyone, so you can also email me. Okay, so we're going to get started by thinking about this word meditation. And when we say this word, something comes to our mind. What is it? Probably a little different for everyone. But meditation is kind of an interesting concept, in that we all pretty much have the same like visual that comes to mind. And that is the visual of somebody sitting cross-legged. Maybe their hands are like this, their eyes are closed, right? If you Googled meditation, that's what would come up. It'd be about 6 trillion pages of that. Everyone looks super relaxed. We're like, oh, that's great. I want to do that. I want to be relaxed. So this is our, what I'll call, generic image of what meditation is. Generic image is like kind of what your mind just kind of like, what like pops into your mind visually, so to speak, when you think of something. And so because this is our generic image, this is often what we kind of associate as being meditation. But sitting down cross-legged with your hands like however is just a seating position. It is not the kind of definition of meditation. Right? So here I like to use a definition that I think is a little bit more true to the practice, and that is that meditation is a technique you can use to become really familiar with something. What does that mean? Familiarity is something that's really important to everything that we do. We don't really think about it that much because it's happening constantly, but familiarity is what we start to, it's what makes things start to kind of come naturally to us, right? So think about something you're really familiar with, like a favorite song or something like that. You know? Now, the first time you heard this song, you didn't know those lyrics, right? You didn't know the drum fills. I don't know. Like when the guitar comes, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming you're listening to like a song with guitar, but it could be it could be like an orchestral. Um, but like the components of that song were not familiar to you. And like when you were a little kid, like really young, you didn't even know what a song was, right? Like hear music and stuff like that, but you're not like, oh, that's my favorite song, you know? So now you have a favorite song. You listen to it the second time. Oh yeah, now I know the chorus. Listen to it the third time. Oh, well, now I know some of the verses. Listen to it the millionth time. You can basically perform it on your own, right? So the more familiar you become with something, the more easily it starts to come to you, the less concentration it takes. You can sing this song while you're driving, while you're walking backwards, right? It doesn't take as much effort to do this thing, right? Whereas, originally you had to like think like, oh, what was the lyrics for that? So this is an example of how familiarity has a very specific output. And that output is that it's these things we're familiar with start to show up more regularly. And that is true for mental stuff as well, mental mind states. That's what we kind of talk about here. So take relaxation, like peacefulness or being calm or whatever. This is a very big entry point into meditation, and for good reason. Meditation is a great way to kind of bring about some calmness. But how does it do that? We might think meditation equals relaxation. If I meditate, I'm relaxed. But really what's happening is meditation is teaching you to become extremely familiar with relaxed you. There is a kind of variant of yourself in there that is relaxed. You see it from time to time. Probably want to see it more often. But it's in there. It's not something you don't possess already. So meditation isn't creating peacefulness or relaxation. It's teaching you to become so familiar with that becomes your default. That's what starts to show up with less effort. Right now, things like patience, they take effort, right? If we're in like a tough situation, we might have to be like, oh, hold on a second, right? They take thought, effort, concentration. Getting annoyed, on the other hand, very familiar with that. We don't ever have to stop and be like, oh, let me get annoyed, because our mind has probably had more practice getting annoyed than being super patient. So our mind does what it's familiar with. And what our mind is familiar with is up to you. And that is the beauty of meditation. And it's not easy, like, been thinking a specific way for a very long time. It's, it takes time to kind of train our mind to become familiar with a particular thing. But the cool part is that we can do it. It's sort of like our superpower, right? The ability to dictate, what do we want to be familiar with? What do we want to have show up regularly in our life? Maybe kindness to ourselves, to others, whatever it is, right? So that's the kind of long and short of what I think meditation is from like a definition standpoint. How do we do it? How do we train in this cool thing, right? Sounds great. When you start learning meditation, the first kind of technique that you learn is usually breathing meditation. You probably have heard of that. It's pretty everywhere. Candace, you do not need to apologize for being late. I'm glad you're here. Is your name really McCool? Because that is really cool. So when we're starting meditation, very often we will do breathing meditation. And breathing meditation rocks, right? It's really great. Wow. You have a very cool name. Breathing meditation is something that travels really well, right? And it teaches us something super important. We don't need specific conditions to train in this. We don't need specific external conditions to start to train our mind to become familiar with stuff, right? We don't need to go to this lake. We don't need to have perfect quiet. We don't, whatever. We just need a little time, patience, and our breath, right? So that's a really, I think, empowering thing to kind of become familiar with. And that's why I think breathing meditation is a really great place to start. So when we are doing breathing meditation, or really any meditation, what we are doing is called single pointed concentration. We are single pointedly concentrating on something. It can be anything. In this case, we're going to do our breath for breathing meditation. That's the object of our meditation. But the object of your meditation could be anything. It could be a thought, a situation, a visual. It can be an object, or like, I don't know, like if you pick something up, like tactile. It doesn't matter. The kind of steps of what we're doing in training with meditation is the same, but we use breath because it's very accessible to us. So we're going to single pointedly concentrate on our breath. And that means no multitasking. You, me, everyone is extremely familiar with multitasking. Even if you don't consider yourself to be a gifted multitasker, you are, right? I'm moving my hands while I'm speaking, right? Often I'll take a drink, like in between. I'm still thinking about what I'm going to say. I'm asking my mind to juggle multiple things, multitasking, right? When we meditate, we are not doing that. We are focusing so exclusively on one thing and one thing only that something really interesting happens. When our mind stops juggling, it starts to chill. All those thoughts that are bouncing around in our head all day long. Oh, I got to do this for work tomorrow. Oh, I got this event coming up. Oh, I'm not feeling well. Oh, my knee hurts. They start to fade into the background. They're not gone, but they're not as prominent in your mind. And so they kind of feel gone. And the byproduct of this is, right, relax. So this is the kind of like touch point we're going to start with, is doing breathing meditation to try to pacify some of the busyness in our mind. Because if our mind's really busy, it's hard for us to use it to its potential, right? It's hard for us to think about, why does this thing make me anxious if our mind is like fixated and panicked on something, right? So we're going to do some breathing meditation here together. And it's 3 steps. All meditation is really like 3 steps. First is you're going to choose to do this. We're basically setting an intention to do this. I know that sounds kind of unnecessary. I also thought so in my cynical youth. But we all have had meditative experiences kind of accidentally, right? We're in the zone at work. What happens? Lose track of time. Right, all those noises in the office, we don't hear them. Forgot to eat lunch or something, right? It's sort of the same kind of thing. But we want to start to train our mind into understanding that it can do this by choice, not random, and also that there's a lot of benefit to this. Right? So we're setting an intention, and all that means is I'm going to focus single pointedly on my breath for the next couple of minutes to the best of my ability. We're just going to kind of say that, plant that idea in our mind, even if you don't believe it. And then step 2 is we're going to act on that. And while we are focusing single pointedly on our breath, we're going to pay attention to whenever we start to drift. And when I say drift, I mean you are no longer single pointedly focused on your breath. Could be, oh, that was a weird sound. Oh, that project's really going to be tough. I got to start working on that, right? All these thoughts, when they start to kind of try to get in, we're just going to say, not right now. That's our little saying here, not right now. These thoughts are not intrusive. They are not unwanted. They are just thoughts. They're not bad or whatever. We're just saying not now to our mind because we got something we're doing. We got a job. We're focusing on our breath. And then step 3 is bringing your attention back from the drift to your breath. So we choose to focus single pointedly on something, in this case, our breath. Notice when our attention drifts and bring it back purposefully. That's meditation. And we could do it as like a little loop kind of over and over. So there's really there's no like barometer of success here in terms of like, I didn't get distracted for 10 seconds. Doesn't matter, right? The act of noticing when your attention has drifted and bringing it back, that is the practice itself. Cool. Let's try it. Okay, you might notice that I am not seated on the floor like all the Google results of meditation would show. I am in a fairly comfortable chair. It could be more comfortable if I'm being honest, but it's pretty comfortable. You can sit wherever you want. You can sit on the couch. You can sit on the floor if that's your thing. Chair. You want to lay down? Go ahead. Do whatever you want. Got a hammock? That's where I would go. So it doesn't matter. Sometimes we think like, oh, I have to sit in this exact position. In my opinion, that would be not a great thing to be true, because then what if I can't sit on the floor? I can't do this. Right? So like, I think that sometimes we get hung up on these like visuals of like what it is not necessary. So just get comfy. And you can go ahead and close your eyes, and I'll guide us through probably about 5-minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever you start a meditation, it can be good to check in with yourself. Actually ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? In this exact moment. Maybe you're tired, you've had a long day. Maybe you're feeling energetic, curious, happy, sad, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We are not trying to remedy anything. Just notice. This is something called mindfulness. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts, moment to moment, for the very intentional purpose of being able to respond skillfully to what your mind is up to. Take a moment and check in. Having done that, you can now set a promise to yourself, set an intention. And that promise, that intention, is for you to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on your own breath to the best of your ability for the next couple of minutes. Let that thought, that goal, that intention sit in your mind. This is your only job right now, your only responsibility. All other things can patiently wait. And with that intention set in your mind, you can act on it. You can turn your full undivided attention to your own breath, breathing in, breathing out, very gently and very naturally. You do not need to alter the way you normally breathe here. No need to take big, deep inhales or forcefully exhale air. However you normally breathe, just do that. In and out. At some point, sometimes impressively quickly. You might notice your attention drifting, no longer 100% focused on your breath. Maybe you're thinking about a sensation you have, or a sound, something you have to do later, something that happened earlier. Whenever you notice your mind has started to split time in this way, we can just say not right now to those other thoughts. We'll get to them later. Actually imagine yourself placing those thoughts beside you, where they're waiting patiently. And with those thoughts beside you, you can direct your full attention back to breathing. In, out, gently, naturally. Single pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. What is it like to focus on each moment of breathing? It's not something we think about often. Breathing is so familiar to us as a kind of action that we do it almost absent-mindedly. But what if we focused on breathing purposefully? Every time you breathe in, can you watch, visualize the air? Watch it as it's leaving the atmosphere, entering your body. Feel it travel through your body to your lungs, where your chest expands to make room. And what about when you breathe outward? Can you feel your chest contracting? Watch as the air is gently pushed through your body. Watch as it leaves your body back into the atmosphere, where it dissipates. We'll never see that exact pocket of air again. Such a brief, momentary interaction, but one that's filled with subtlety, importance, joy. Breathing in, breathing out, gently, naturally. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath as many times as you need to. This process of choosing to focus single pointedly on your breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and then guiding your attention back to breathing. That is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to tap into its natural peacefulness, to become familiar with it. You're training your mind to become familiar with what you want to focus on, what's important to you. What a wonderful use of your time. Breathing in, breathing out, gently, naturally. So just for the last few moments here, just continue to breathe. Enjoy your time with your own breath. No need to think too much about anything. Just taking a little time for you. You deserve it. Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Janelle, what a lovely surprise. How are you? That was breathing meditation. Congrats. You did it. Probably one of two things happened. You were either like, it wasn't so bad. Or you're like, whoa, that wasn't that easy. Both are totally valid outcomes. When I first started, and I think this is extremely common for new meditators, it almost is like your mind feels busier sometimes, right? Hey, Andre, great to see you. This is not because your mind is busier when you're meditating, but you're actually starting to notice what your mind is like, kind of just by default. It's busy. It's jumping around a lot because that's what our mind is familiar with. Just like we were talking about, our favorite song and how we become really familiar with it and the lyrics we're just kind of know them. Our mind's favorite song right now is thinking about a million things. Just because that's what it's familiar with. And thinking about a million things is a pretty cool thing that our mind can do. It's really good for getting stuff done, right? But it's not good for everything. And one thing it's not great for is being very relaxed, right? Deborah, oh my gosh, this is a tour of all the VIPs. How you doing? I'm glad that you're back with me as well. So that's breathing meditation. And if you take nothing else away from anything I said, the rambling, there is no good meditation or bad meditation. But you're here. Step one. You did it. Right? So there's no good or bad meditation. Very hard concept to kind of think about because we are constantly inundated with this is good, this is bad, you're a master of this, you're not. That's how we kind of view success, essentially. But the practice of sitting down and doing this is the practice. That there's no good or bad, it just is. And so above all other things, consistency. Keep at it. It doesn't matter how long you're meditating. Do it for 2 minutes in the morning. Do it for 30 seconds. It doesn't matter. The way we become familiar with stuff is repetition, right? And it doesn't matter if our mind's super distracted one day and another not. Guess what? That's the life of our mind. Okay, so that's breathing meditation. If you have any other questions on that, feel free to ask. I'm going to move on to our topic for today because I'm already behind. And our topic is about giving, this concept of giving. And it ties in really nicely to what we were talking about prior to the little holiday break there. And that was all about gratitude, recognizing how important other people are, expanding the list of people that are really important to us. And the tie-in is that the kind of act of giving comes a lot more naturally when it's for somebody that we perceive as beneficial to us, important to us, contributing to our life in some way. If your best friend asks for $1, why are you asking for $1? Okay, here. but you know, it was sometimes strangers ask, and you know, we like, oh, I don't know what they're gonna do with it. I don't know, it's a scam or something, right? So the dollar is the same. It's the same value, right? Coming out of our pocket, the exact same monetary value. The only difference in kind of if we feel naturally inclined to give or not is this kind of perceived importance, right? And so that's why this concept of giving can sometimes feel really difficult, because layered in it is a lot of other things that we have to think about, right? And so one of the cool things I think about giving is I think there are more ways, at least there are more ways than I thought, that we can give. So we're going to talk about like 3 different kind of categories of giving and tie that into meditation. Cool. So the first one is, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's pretty straightforward, giving resources. And when we think of resources, immediately we think of money, right? Or like a gift or something. But also like donating, donating our clothes is a resource. Just clothes, giving a resource to somebody else. So even that category is pretty expansive, right? But money, gifts, like things, this is something that I think it can be tough to kind of part with this stuff. And the previous class on recognizing the importance and impact of other people on our life is a really great way of kind of checking ourselves, checking our intention here, right? This is my money. Why would I give it to you? Where'd you get it? Right? You got it from your employer, right? So they give it to you. Maybe you'll give a little back. So this concept of kind of thinking about where things come from, all the people involved, can help kind of take a little of that armor away. Now, what I'm not saying for you to do is go give all your money away, because that doesn't really help much at all. Because let's say you gave everything you had away. Well, now you're in trouble, right? And instead of being able to kind of work on your meditation practice and like better yourself and like be there mentally for people, and like you're just distraught, right? So when we're talking about giving, and I think particularly with giving resources, the thing I like to think about is setting yourself up to help as many people as you can comfortably in this moment, right? Only you can answer if no, I can't give anything or not, right? So this is all about like checking intention, which is something that can be really uncomfortable, right? We don't want to think about this, which is another reason why the concept of giving feels very kind of challenging sometimes, right? So giving resources is great, right? You can benefit a lot of people by doing that, but it is not the only way to give. And, frankly, it's not always possible, right? So the second kind of category, and this is one that I like to focus on a lot, is giving time. Is time a resource? Like, can you give time, right? Volunteering, right? Formally or informally, formally like volunteer in some organization, but sometimes your friend asks you to help them move. And we're like, ugh. But if we do, we're giving them time. We're not giving them like money or anything. We're not like, hey, here's money, go hire movers. I don't know. That might be maybe that's something to do. I don't know. That would take it off your plate. But we can give our time, right? Calling somebody to say hi, calling a loved one to say hi. They're not like getting a gift really like in like the tangible sense, but they are getting the gift of time, right? Traveling, holidays are coming up. We're going to, a lot of people do traveling, right? Traveling, it's giving time. takes a long time to travel. Got to drive in our car for a while, fly in the old airplane or train or something. And so, like, this concept of time being a gift, I think is really cool to start to think about. Because even though, like, intellectually we know, like, yeah, like, my time is precious, we don't often think of it as like a gift that we're giving. One of my favorite quotes is from some sci-fi author, and it's time is our total capital. First time I read that, I was like, whoa. Right? So time is this, it's like the most valuable resource, right? It's finite. And giving it is a beautiful thing. Now, I'm not saying give all your time away, because if you gave all your time away, what would happen? Well, you wouldn't have any time for you. And if you have no time for you, maybe you start to get stressed, right? You feel overwhelmed, and then you're going to not be able to like be there to feel like you can give time to others, right? So finding a balance with giving is really important, whether it's resources, time, etc. Right? Okay. So then these are like getting a little more subtle as we go. Like the first one's like this tangible thing, object I give you. Time is like, well, I can't I can't grab time, unless you're like some sort of superhero or something. It's a little more subtle, right? But it's still a gift that we can give. And a great gift if we don't have resources, it's a really wonderful way to give. Even more subtle, I think, is what I'll call giving energy. And sometimes I call this giving love. I've called it, I don't know. I've called it a bunch of things. I'm going with giving energy this time around. And the concept of this is, like, let's say we're giving our time to somebody, like we're listening to a problem that they're having, right? Are we like actively listening with the intention of trying to help them? Or are we like doing this maybe because we feels like this is what I should do, this is what a good friend would do? Is our mind getting distracted? We're like, oh, yeah, that other thing I'm thinking about. Oh, see, they're talking at me, right? So like we can give our time in the sense that we are listening to somebody, but giving our energy to that thing is even more beautiful, right? This idea of, I guess you can kind of think of it as like being present, right? Giving our energy to a situation, right? All of you right now, Deborah, need this because I am you're snowed in. Oh, sounds kind of cozy. So, all of you right now, you are giving energy, right? You're also giving time. You're here, right? But you're here and you're thinking about it. There's like a level of curiosity, like intentionality. Is that a word? Mindfulness, actually. Mindfulness is giving energy, right? We talked a little bit about mindfulness in our meditation. The active awareness of your own thoughts for the purpose, right? Intention, the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. That takes energy. It's not time. It's like thought. I mean, time is kind of wrapped up in there a little bit, but like it's something else. It's something deeper than that, right? And giving energy is the root cause of giving, right? So like gifts, like ultimately gifts come from like a factory or something. I don't know. If you give like a toy to somebody, it's like coming from a factory. If the factory was not there, then the gift, the item, would not be there, right? So the prerequisite of the gift is the factory that makes it. Giving, this kind of concept of it, the action of giving, comes from your mind. Your mind is the factory of giving. Without the thought give, there is no giving, right? So we kind of also often think like, mental thought, whatever. It's not really doing anything. It's not like a tangible thing. Thinking about the benefits of giving somebody money is not as good as giving them money. Well, I mean, maybe in that exact moment, but what we're trying to do with meditation is become so familiar with the importance of giving that guess what? We no longer have all those blockades in between us and doing that thing. We become so familiar with giving that it starts to come naturally. It doesn't feel forced. It feels right. Right? And you being here, working on yourself, self-care, meditating, thinking, curiosity, this is a gift. It is the gift, the ultimate gift, because it is the thing that leads to every other item that we touched on. Cool. Also, this is limitless, right? We don't have limitless energy in certain, in the sense that we have to we get fatigued, right? But we can think whenever we want, right? We can work on thought stuff whenever we want. So there's a level of limitlessness to this, which is kind of cool, right? And so we're going to do a little meditation here together, and it's going to be very similar to what we just did. We're going to do some breathing meditation. But when we're setting our intention, what we're going to do is set the intention of doing this, not just for us, but we're meditating so that we can be start to help be the best version of us for other people. So we're kind of taking this practice of meditation, this 5-minute period of time, and we're turning it into a gift that has limitless potential. Cool? Okay. I know there's a lot of information and talking. My mouth is parched. I don't think I'm supposed to say my mouth is parched. I just think I say I'm parched. Okay. Erie, Pennsylvania. Oh, you're no stranger to snow. Okay. Get comfy. If you weren't happy with your previous seating position, it happens. Go ahead and get a better one, or say, whatever. Get nice and comfy. Go ahead and close your eyes, and we're going to do another pretty short meditation with just this added layer of giving energy. Okay. Take a moment and check in with yourself once again. How are you feeling right now in this exact moment? It's not a comparison to before. Before is done. Just now. How are you feeling now? Again, this is a form of mindfulness, and we now know a little bit more about the importance, vast importance of this practice, mindfulness. Being able to notice is extremely important because it is the prerequisite for doing anything about it. So just notice what your mind is up to right now. Having done that, we can set an intention in our mind. That intention is to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on your own breath to the best of your ability, but for a specific purpose. And this time, that specific purpose is so you can start to become so familiar with being calm and peaceful that feeling permeates all the people you interact with. Being the best version of yourself so you can show up for others. What an awesome gift. Let that intention, that wish to give, sit in your mind. It is your only task right now. Focus on your own breath for the benefit of other people. And then go ahead and act on that. Turn your full undivided attention to your own breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Gently, naturally. And if your mind starts to think about other things besides your breath, no big deal. We can just say not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. But right now we have a very important task. We're giving a gift to others. Let's focus on it and bring your attention back to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Gently, naturally. We're single-pointedly focused on breathing. And when we do that, sometimes you start to glean some subtleties about the thing you're focusing on. Maybe you're noticing how the air feels cool temperature-wise when you breathe in. You can kind of feel that coolness on the tip of your nose. How interesting. When you breathe out, that air feels a bit warmer, doesn't it? Interesting. Maybe you notice your body participating in your breath, your shoulders rising each time you inhale, ever so slightly rising. And then falling when you exhale. So many subtleties to be found, subtle joys, subtle interests to be found, and something that we do countless times a day, breathing. if you can start to find some subtle joys in something as simple and accessible as breathing, where might you find some other subtle joys? When we are present with something, anything, any activity or thought or idea, person, situation, we are there. We are giving energy. It's a gift because we glean things that we may not notice. And those little subtle things can change us for the better. And the best you is the best for everyone else. What's a better gift than that? So, just for the last few moments, just sit, relax, enjoy your breath, and enjoy knowing that you're not just meditating for you, but you're giving a gift to everyone. The gift of you. Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. So, same kind of thing, right? Didn't really do anything different. We were focusing on our breath. The only thing we changed is kind of this kind of reasoning as to why we're doing this. And it's a really powerful thing, right? We're not just doing this for us, but a better us is better for everyone. So that's a gift, right? That's it for this week. Hopefully you found this to be interesting or fun or thought-provoking or all of the above. If you did, come on back next week. We're going to talk about something else. I think next week we're going to talk about like small acts of kindness and like how that can be really impactful. Because I think it ties in nicely with this idea of giving. Oh, Rosa, Janelle, thank you. I appreciate that. So hopefully I see y'all here next week. Thank you to anyone who subscribed to my YouTube channel during the live stream. Janelle, I still do one-on-ones. Yes, I do. And if you are interested in doing like a one-on-one, maybe you're like, hey, I really like meditation. I would like to, focus on anxiety because that's really why I'm here. Yeah, we can do that together. I offer private instruction. I do it all virtually, unless you happen to be in the Denver, Colorado area. We can get a cup of coffee or something. But I do it virtually. It's very laid back. So if that's interesting to you, or if you have any questions about meditation in general, you can email me. I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. It is keith@meditationbreaks.com. keith@meditationbreaks.com. Typing carefully. Great. That is my email. If you are interested in one-on-one or just have any questions or just want to say hi, feel free to email me whenever. Candace, thank you. I'm glad it was helpful for you. Deborah, I'm glad you're feeling relaxed. Good. I don't know what time it is there, but maybe now it's time to go to bed probably. Georgette, Norma, thank you. Thank you to everyone for giving your time to me. I love teaching. I get a lot of joy out of it. And you giving your time to be here with me, whether it's your first time or your 100th time, is extremely kind of you, and it is not something that goes unrecognized by me. So thank you for giving time out of your busy day to be here, and your energy for all this great conversation and thought. Y'all are the best. All right, so have a wonderful week, and hopefully I'll see each and every one of you next time. All right, take care.